guys, signing in from Rebollion station. I have to admit that this review was not originally planned, but since Epic Games offered this game for free for a limited time, I decided to take this opportunity. The game is not other than Remnant from the Ashes. It's a third-person action game that clearly builds on the concept of Dark Souls and essentially swapping the swords and axes to guns. Just for introduction, briefly, I would say from this adventure I got pretty much what I was expecting from this type. Let's see the details of this game by heading to our research deck. Remnant from the Ashes was developed by Gunfire Games, a team created back in 2014. By now they were devoured by THQ Nordic. You might heard of them before regarding the Darksiders series. Remnant was released in 2019 and was of course created with Unreal Engine 4. It's downloadable through Epic Games or even Steam. The current full price is around €40, but there are discounts to be found fairly often. It has a single player and co-op option as well, and also supports controllers. In order to run the game, you should have at least 8GB RAM and a decent enough video card, and also gonna need approximately 36GB free space. The reception by critics are absolutely positive, indicating that there is still place for Dark Souls style games. Among the gameplay settings we can find some basic options such as helmet or damage display or camera controls. On the video tab, among the usual display mode and brightness level, there are some more complex features that we can set in case our CPU or video card would not be up to the task to handle high quality textures or shadows. Options such as FPS or latency are clearly indicating that this game was not primarily meant for single player. On the audio tab there are just some very standard options. The controller or language settings are pretty straightforwardly designed for those who aren't wish to listen or read in English and prefer controllers over the keyboard. If I were to specify the type of this, I would say Dark Souls with guns and ranged weapons. Now, we might think this should be an easy walk in the park, but do not be mistaken. The developers found a way to balance the game and still make it challenging. A few similarities with Dark Souls games. The usual Estus flask here replaced by an item called Dragon Heart that works the same way and can be recharged by resting. To get to the bosses, you got to push through a foggy door. Energy replenishment happens by resting at the fireplace or crystals. The creation screen is simplified with few presets for face or hair type, also skin color. Here we can also set a difficulty level. We cannot modify our body structure, so you can forget about roaming around with a Hulk-sized barbarian or skinny supermodel with huge breasts. Shortly after the start, we can pick up the style we want to fight with, whenever it's close-range massacre with shotguns or picking them out one by one with a rifle. My opinion is that the best choice in this game is the sniper rifle, as it's not only extremely powerful but also allows us to clear off enemies from a long distance. By design the game is really nice, but there is no point trying to compare it to AAA titles such as Assassin's Creed or Witcher. Of course there are many places with especially nice graphics. I even spent some time here and there with sightseeing. Leveling up is not based on the conventional Dark Souls recipe, as here we have to use so-called trait points. We can learn new traits during the gameplay by completing certain tasks like killing bosses or reading old documents. Each of these skills can be upgraded up to level 20. Ward 13 is our main base of operation. We can come back here at any time for new equipment or upgrades. The two most important characters here are the always grumpy engineer girl who sells us new type of weapons and mods. The other is pensioner Vin Diesel who will supply us with weapon and armor upgrades. The well-known bonfires here are replaced with special crystals that we can find on each level. With their help, we can replenish our health and ammunition, and also travel between the different worlds. Our inventory screen is not too complicated. We can carry a handgun, some bigger firearm, and a close combat weapon such as sword or hammer. As for armor, we can use helmets, jackets, and pants. Other than that, we are allowed to wear 2 rings and 1 amulet. The different type of items indicated by colors. Along with the never-ending waves of mob enemies, we can run into stronger monsters time to time who aren't yet boss level but strong enough to make our existence miserable over and over again. The boss creatures are indicated by the typical fog-covered entrances. Entering these, we can expect that our blood pressure will rise significantly, and after the countless attempts, we might end up with severe brain damage.
Get it! Quit!
Among these bosses, we encounter such remarkable beauties as the teleporting Shroud, Gorefist with its massive hits, the fire-breathing Singe, the poison-vomiting Scourge, the mage-warrior duo Shade and Shadder, Harrow the Escapist, or the Unclean One with his overweight problems. The strategy of the developers is that they placed unlimited number of respawning smaller enemies in the same room with the bosses, and these little fuckers will suck all of our health and patience to dry. Die, Gorefist! Haha, your ass is mine! You are almost dead! What is this sound? What are these? So many! Shit, I'm out of bullets. Die! Ah! Devastating the enemy lines with sniper rifle is really fun. We do have some variety of weapons that we can find in-game without reaching out for our credit cards. The enemies are interesting and diverse. The game is pretty nice and has some unique touch of design. Modding weapons are cool, and there are decent amount of mods to be found. Unlike in Dark Souls, we do not have to fight our way through countless enemies just to get to the boss, as bonfires and foggy doors are usually right next to each other. The program is pretty stable. I have not run into any hard crash or game-breaking bugs. Remnant is fairly lengthy. With a quick push through, it still took 22 hours, and there is a new DLC on the horizon. There isn't a huge amount of equipment. The game tries to force you to buy DLCs if you really want any decent armor or weapon. Playing in offline mode can be rather painful, considering that Epic Games constantly minimize the game in order to bring up the browser where it wants you to log in. It attached to the other issue where you basically require to log in before running the game each time you restart your computer. The levels are big, with many enemies, although it tend to get a little tedious sometimes, and often I had the feeling that the Dark Souls concept isn't quite working so well with guns. There is a large number of traits or skills to find, but frankly 90% of them are useless. Regarding equipment, I pretty much had the same from beginning to end and could really not find anything better. The story is forgettable. The only reason I spent time with reading books or letters was to gain new traits. Most boss only meant any kind of rare challenge because they were surrounded with their faithful minions. It's great if there are plenty of enemies, but at certain points I felt it was a bit too much. Navigating across the levels can be confusing and the map won't help much. A few days after I installed the game, I could not launch it again due to a huge update I had to download that was at least as big as the original game. Taking everything into consideration, Remnant of the Ashes gets a Mercury class level.